This video is about our short trip to New York. It actually followed on from a holiday we were already having, so you'll see us leaving Las Vegas here on the west coast and heading all the way over to the east coast to New York City. Flight time was about 6.5 hours, but because it's a domestic flight we actually got to use the domestic terminal for the first time. This terminal's much better than the international terminal, which frankly has got very few venues or very few things to do. Whereas the domestic terminal seems to have a lot more about it, and you can kind of while away a couple of hours quite happily. And that was quite fortuitous for us really. We were flying American Airlines and we'd upgraded to first class. It's the first time we'd been travelling internally on first class, so we didn't quite know what to expect. As it turns out, American Airlines don't have a lounge at the Las Vegas terminal, so we managed to while away a couple of hours at the bars and restaurants within the terminal facilities. When it came to boarding, we were feeling a little bit disappointed with the lack of lounge and started to question whether the upgrade had been worth it. We didn't need to worry though. As soon as we got on the plane and we found our seats, we were quite happy with the size and the space that we had available to us. Lots of leg room, lots of shoulder space, and the seats were really quite comfortable. One of our first observations was the distinct lack of in-flight entertainment screens around the plane. After speaking to the cabin hostess really quickly, it turns out you can still access IFE or in-flight entertainment by downloading an app on your phone or your device. Thankfully we asked in time so we could download it using the airport's Wi-Fi. Once we had it, I have to say its use was flawless and it proved a really good IFE system. So we said our final farewells to the sunny Vegas Strip and the beautiful Nevada weather, and we headed off for the 6.5 hour flight over to the East Coast and to New York City, where the weather was, well, slightly different from what we'd left at Nevada, I think is the politest way of putting it. So we touched down at a rather gloomy JFK airport. Because this was a domestic flight, we didn't have to clear immigration again, and we picked our bags up and made our way through the airport without any problems whatsoever. I had pre-booked a car to pick us up. This is slightly more expensive, but it does take the hassle of trying to find a taxi cab or an Uber away, and we were able to set off and make our way into Manhattan in pretty good time. And after about 25 minutes of driving, we were picking up those familiar sights and sounds of Manhattan. So for the 4 nights we were in New York, we'd booked to stay at the Roosevelt Hotel. This is on 45th East Street between Madison and Park. I'd booked it because it was slightly cheaper than other hotels. When I say slightly cheaper, it was only slightly cheaper, so I still had some quite high hopes for the hotel really. The entrance and lobby area is really nicely done. Our first impressions were actually pretty good really. As you'll see here, you walk from a lower level up into the main mezzanine where you've got bar, some seating areas and the main reception area. The check-in process was pretty uneventful and we were allocated a room on the 16th floor. I suppose the customer services could do with a bit of improvement, but then again, in a busy New York City hotel, I suppose they don't want to be friends with their customers. However, as you come away from the lobby and bar area and go up to the rooms, the hotel shows its true colours really. Very dated, very tired. The corridor actually had a feel like it was from the Disney's Tower of Terror rides, where it just kind of feels like it needs some love and attention in quite a big way to bring it up to speed. Now I do expect in New York that your rooms will be quite small. However, this one did take me still by surprise at just the size of it. Bearing in mind it was only slightly cheaper than other hotels in the city, I'd really strongly recommend you stay at a different hotel other than the Roosevelt. Because this was it, a room that barely had a double bed in, and a toilet and a shower, and that was it. So disappointment of the room aside, we then got on about exploring New York City and all that it has to offer. Some people may be a little bit intimidated by the city, but actually we found it nothing but other than safe and easy to navigate and work our way around. Some great sights as you'd expect. Get yourselves out there, get yourselves involved and have a great time. Now there's some truly great views to have in New York City, and there's loads of places you can go to find them. You can pay to go to the top of the Empire State Building or the Rockefeller Center, but actually we found Bar 65 at the Rainbow Rooms to be one of the best places available. We booked a table, which was free through Open Table app, where you get to go up, have a drink up the top and get this view. Now it's a shame we had a bit of a murky day, but actually it's a nice place to spend an hour or two, and the drinks aren't ludicrously priced, so I would recommend it. No sooner had we arrived than it was time to start packing up and heading back to the airport to pick up our flight back to London, UK. If you want to have a look at the flight, please feel free to do so. It's on the pop-up banner above, and it's a first-class flight with British Airways back to Heathrow. Thanks ever so much for watching, really appreciate your time, and if you'd like to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated.